Hallo Freunde der gespannten Musik. Ich sitze hier mit Bryan von Before Dishonor für einen kleinen Plausch. Er hat sich Zeit genommen hier in Kassel im Musiktheater, wo ich glaube heute ist der drittletzte Tag. Genau, in Dresden endet die Tour mit Terror, No Turning Back, Jesus Peace, Lions Law. Sorry, wenn ich jemanden vergesse, aber das wird schon. Ich werde es nochmal einblenden, was hier war. Thank you for taking time for us, Bryan.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, how are you doing? How's the band doing on this tour so far?
Everything's great. Tour's been awesome. All the bands we're on tour with are awesome. The shows have been really good. Kids have been very receptive to us and our new stuff. You know, we're playing some new songs. Everything's been awesome.
That sounds good.
Yeah, that's great.
That sounds good. And you're in really good mood. It feels like you're really chilled.
Yeah, I'm good.
Awesome.
Everything's been great, so I got nothing to complain about.
10 years after Better Ways to Die, you're back. This world is more fucked up than it was at that time. For sure it was as well, but how was the feeling for you 10 years ago till today? So, you know, for example, you got the energy for the new album. Have you took a lot of it from that what happened now for that, or just what you've seen, what you've noticed, what you're feeling?
Yeah, I mean, the world was still fucked up 10 years ago. But yeah, I think every year it gets increasingly worse with all the chaos going on in the world. As far as the new record, I mean, I think a lot of stuff on that record has to do with that. Some has to do with personal experiences within the last few years of just things in life that, you know, good and bad that have happened. But yeah, I think it all snowballed into the new record.
Yeah, it's pretty much 10 years and 21 minutes and 34 seconds, I think.
Literally, it was pretty damn close.
Yeah. The name of the new album is Unfinished Business. So you got something to say and then you're done, or aren't you?
Oh no, we're not done. Even, I know it's been 10 years since we put out a record, but we, you know, within that 10 years, we still did some touring. The last few years we kind of slowed down a little bit, but like I said, there was some personal stuff going on, you know, family stuff, and now that that's kind of out of the way, expect to see us a lot more. And that's what Unfinished Business is. Like, we're not done. We're not going anywhere.
Sounds good to me. I've seen that you already got some dates in 2020.
Yeah.
Reality Bites, I think it was, and
Mission Ready Festival is another one.
Right. Mission Ready.
Yeah.
And I don't know right now because I'm a little bit excited. So
yeah, no,
I'm sorry for that.
That's all right. We're going to be back in June, July next summer, 2020. Festivals, small club shows, like you said, Mission Ready. Fest we're playing as well. There'll be a bunch more festivals added. They're working on it right now, but we'll definitely be back.
And maybe some surprises as well?
Yeah. There's a few things that are confirmed. There's some confirmed, but there's plenty more room to figure stuff out.
That's great for us.
I'm excited.
Another question to the new album. How long did it take for the first song? So the question behind is more like, was it a song that already could have been on Better Ways to Die, or is it just you met after, I don't know, 6 years and everything was, like you said, with family stuff, private things, you know, everything was in line, and then you started writing new songs?
We the first song on the record we actually probably wrote about 7 years ago. The music, we didn't finish the lyrics for it, but we, you know, like I said, even 7 years ago, we were still doing stuff. We had every intention of doing a new album, you know, a couple lineup changes, then family stuff, and then we did some touring here and there, and it just delayed the record. But that first song specifically, we wrote 7-8 years ago, and then when it got time to go in the studio, plus, you know, we had been writing here and there, we still get together and rehearse. So we had a song. We actually had more songs than ended up on the album.
Yeah.
We had like 3 or 4 more songs.
Yeah, okay.
But our mindset was it had been so long with the record. I wanted to put out a record that I wanted more people to be like, oh, I wish there was more, instead of like start criticizing stuff. Like, I feel like in and out, a lot of energy, and with this lineup's been same lineup for Before Dishonor, guitar and drummer for like 8 years now. But it was the first time we were in the studio together. Okay. So it was really cool. Everything worked out great. And even with that said, with the other songs and stuff, like, it's not going to be 10 years till we put out another record. Like this, we're going to be doing a lot more, I don't know when we'll record another record, but, definitely not 10 years, maybe a couple years, like normal. You know what I mean?
To get back in line, do it a little bit more closer. Yeah. As I have seen, I think it was, 2009, 2007, 2005, only always 2 years between.
Years. Yeah, because you put out a record and you do all the touring, and then it's like a record cycle. So you put out a record, tour, come to Europe, do the States, maybe go South America, blah blah blah. Do it a few times, then you're like, we got to do another record to keep on doing it. You know what I mean? So that's why we were still like coming over here and there, not as much as we used to, because like we were here in March with Madball. We were here in 2017, but only like 2 Germany shows. Everything else was like Spain and Portugal and France. But like I said, with all the personal stuff, we're like, now we're fired. Like, not that we ever stopped being a band, but I feel like with this new record, with the more touring, like we're firing on all cylinders, and it feels good. It feels awesome.
Before I'm moving on with my questions, I would like to say, I don't know, maybe I'm talking out of the hearts of a lot of people.
Yeah.
Thank you that you're not. It's don't get me wrong. It's not bad that bands are playing so much.
Right.
But for me, especially, it's with Before Dishonor. They've never been that often here, and so for me, the show was more intense.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like,
it's not like you've got every train station you're holding and playing.
Right. Yeah, there was one period from like 2005, 6 to like 2009. We were coming over here 2-3 times a year. I feel like that was a little too much. Yeah. Which I love coming over here. It's great, but it's like I feel like it's also important to like leave people wanting more, you know what I mean? Like if you don't come, and it makes the show a little more special instead of like, oh, I'll see him in 2 months. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
for sure.
Like the problem you had in Hamburg, you played at Knust, and at the Markthalle.
Sick of it all.
Something's wrong right now.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, which it's good that a lot of bands are coming over.
For sure.
But you'll
100%.
See now there's so many different touring packages. I think it affects everybody in one way or another. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm happy we're coming back in June, July, and I want to still come back. But I also do it smart, not just be it. And don't get me wrong, if a good opportunity comes, we try to take it. But I do like to make it a little more special if we can.
Yeah, sounds good to us. Did Bridge 9 play a role to motivate you guys as well? Like 10 years, like full of PMA and hate, and
everybody, Chris that runs Bridge 9 is a good friend of mine. We've been on Bridge 9 since 2005. We have been talking about this record since 2009, because I mean, well, not 2009, because you got to figure 2009, 2010, 2011, we were touring. And he's like, "Yo, what's up with a new record?" I'm like, "Yeah," and we had every intention to, and then we had a couple lineup changes, and then we had this tour, and then this, and but yeah, it's a joke because I was like, "No, this year we'll do the record." Then a year would go by. He's like, "What's up with that record?" Because I see him at shows in Boston all the time. Like what's up with that record? And then so when we went into the studio, because we've been talking about it so long, I didn't even tell him yet. We booked the studio appointment. Kind of came last minute. Because we were lucky to record with Zeus, and he had a certain amount of time. So he said, "Yo, let's do this record in January, like record it." And I was like, "All right." And I was like, "I'm not telling Chris until the record's done," because I don't think he would believe me. But I couldn't, because I was like, "Oh, we got to try to schedule it." But I called him, and he was excited. But he's always been very supportive of Before Dishonor, the label, everything. It's always been like home to us. So, always he's pushed for the record. But even when there was a long gap before it came up, and I was like, "Yo, we're ready to do it," he was 100% on board. He's great.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's super awesome.
Great
Feels
story.
good.
You know, even that it took that long, and sometimes you need to kick ass, but then you're saying, no, not this year, that year. And
yeah, absolutely.
So you were not talking about because Tool was dropping a record this year. You have to say, okay, Tool did it, we can do it better.
Right. We just try to do it better.
Okay. So that question, I think, is over. Have you planned to be more constant on tour? You already talked about that. What are you guys doing if you're not touring? So we don't always notice that you are playing at some US shows, festivals, whatever. Where are you going, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes just think, oh, they're just earning their money because they are 2 weeks in a year in Germany, and you know what I'm saying?
That's not paying the bills at all. No, we all have different jobs. Like my guitar player, he drives Uber. Mm-hmm. So, you know, when he's home, he can do that. And then he wants to go tour, he can take it off. My drummer works for like a tire company. Mm-hmm. And the guy that owns it, it's a friend of ours. He's like a hardcore guy. So he lets people come and go for tour. Mm-hmm. My bass player, he's a plumber. So he owns his own business. Mm-hmm. And I work for a guy that drive a truck. He's an old hardcore guy, kind of lets me go. So we're very fortunate to have jobs that like let us take some time off, come back, and we work when we're home. Always work.
Yeah, so like
after the
you're on vacation.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's more than that, but like,
yeah, for sure.
But we're allowed to do more. Like, we can take all the time off we need to. So if we do this tour, I'll go home. I go home on Tuesday, take Wednesday, Thursday off, and I'll be working on Friday or something like that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's just how it goes.
Yeah, like many bands doing, but they're doing great on shows because they know where they are from.
Absolutely.
You know?
That's very important, yeah.
Sometimes it makes a difference between a good and a bad show.
I agree.
So then you don't have to answer that question, you know, if you got a problem with it. So it's just the worst, the stable, and the greatest thing you've ever seen in your life could be like in the scene or private or show or whatever.
The worst and the greatest? It's a tough question. Just in general, like the worst or the greatest thing I've seen? Worst is probably like last year my father passed away. He was really sick. That was kind of like the personal stuff. So that was sad. Yeah. So that's probably the worst. Greatest? It's tough to say. There's a lot of great things. I'll throw it into music. Probably one of the greatest. Playing like huge, like the first time we played with Full Force in Germany. Mm-hmm. Like, I love small club shows too. But it was very cool to see so many people. Mm-hmm. Being someone that never really played that big of festivals, I thought that was really cool. And it was like hardcore kids, metal kids, punk rock kids, like everybody together. It was very cool. So that's two different extremes. You know what I mean? Yeah. That was very cool.
Yeah, just to say it, you know, I'm living close to a forest.
Yeah.
And so I thought, when I see all the different kind of colors, you know, the world could be pretty good. What would a guy like you, touring around the world, you know, say what the greatest thing is? Sometimes it feels like people trying to grab you, thinking that you're high above something,
right,
you know?
Right.
So you are not. I'm just trying to show that, you are all cool guys.
Yeah, I'm just regular. Like, I'm just a kid that like screams.
Yeah.
I go home and I work. I'm married. I'm just like everybody else. You know what I mean? And I see the world as a crazy, fucked up place. I'm very fortunate that I'm able to go play around the world and play music. I never take that for granted. I think that's very important. Yeah. But yeah, we're just regular people.
Thank you for that answer. What are you the most worried about for the future? Like, people aren't open-minded. If I hear the new record, I got a lot of stuff to hear that is like a lot of people just looking for themselves, you know?
Right.
Even they're trying to be friends, but they aren't.
Yeah, there's a lot of selfishness out there. Yeah.
After all this social media stuff, a lot of things are gone, you know?
Yeah.
What is your your biggest, what you're worrying about for the future? What maybe can get broke or something?
I mean, it's tough because I think that every year, as like technology and everything expands, like a lot of people, like the real person-to-person communication is getting further and further, and like there's still music and still shows people come, but a lot of stuff is decided like on social media, and I think that's just getting worse. And social media is great. I'm not here like, oh, fuck. You know, it's great for certain things, but I think every year we're losing more and more personal connection and conversation with people, and not just at shows or at home or at work, but like in the world. And I think that like affects the world. So I don't have like a real fear, except for the fact that it's not going to get better. It's just going to get worse. Like with people just on their phone. And I do it too, you know what I mean? I'm no angel, but you know what I mean? Instead of being like face to face and having like a real discussion with fellow human beings and having like compassion, you know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe it's even about pain. You know, it's something different just to read something that hurts you like you really got hurt.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's very true.
The best and the worst show you've ever seen?
Oh, best and the worst.
Best, maybe you've seen Wu-Tang Clan, I don't know.
What is the best show I've ever seen? I mean, I always say this. I've seen so many shows, but I always remember the first time I saw Sick of It All in 1996 was the best show I ever saw.
Okay.
I was like, I had been to a few hardcore shows, but that was like, it was sold out, and somehow everybody moved. And I thought that was crazy. So I'll say that's the best show. What's the worst show? I don't know. I played some bad shows, so maybe something, I don't know.
Everybody did.
Yeah, I don't really, in my mind, like I said, I see so many shows, and, we just talked about Whitful Forest, and so many great shows, but that Sick of It All one sticks out for one of my favorite shows, like inspired me. I don't know what the worst show is.
Yeah, worst show could also be a show where you were smiling, or maybe you've been
right, yeah.
At a TV show, whatever. Just open your mind for that one.
Right. I just can't. I don't know, man. Like, I'm trying to think of what's
some
the
kinky
worst.
shit, whatever.
I don't know, man. I'm trying to think. You know what? I'll say this just because it's just popped into my head.
Yeah.
We were on tour in the States. I think we were in Arizona. I don't even know where we were. It was like Evergreen Terrace, Before Dishonor, straight from the path. And right before we were supposed to play, the building caught on fire. Like all our stuff was in there. The first band didn't even play yet. We were out in the van having a beer with like our friends. We're like, something smells funny. We look. The whole place caught on fire. We had to run in and take all our gear and all our merch out before, and it was done.
So the worst show you've seen was that show you didn't see?
Yeah, because it didn't see. It caught on fire. So I'll go with that, just because it popped in my head.
The roof is on fire.
Yeah, and then the whole wall, everything. Luckily, we got our gear out. Everything got destroyed. Like, not the gear,
shit.
but the building was destroyed.
Okay.
We had all the gear out in the parking lot, and the fire, it was crazy.
You played outside?
No, we couldn't do anything.
Just a quick one?
So I'll say that. That was the worst.
Awesome story, I think.
Yeah, I guess so.
What can happen if you're on tour, for example?
You see everything.
Oh, I know.
Exactly.
Right now, that's all about the questions. What would you like to say to the people out there?
If you have checked out the new record, thank you. We appreciate it. If not, check it out. Thanks for all the support. This tour has been great. Everybody that comes out has been awesome. Thank you. That's all. And we'll be back soon.
Thank you. Should everybody say a little bit more in these days, I think.
I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
For the interview.
I appreciate it.
Have a great show. Have a great tour ending. I hope that you will come back as good as you are right now next year when you're leaving.
I hope so.
This year. So have a good time. I'm now gonna change on German again.
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you, everybody.
Ich wünsche euch was. Was ihr nicht verstanden habt, googelt es nach. Und nehmt euch ein paar Sachen ruhig zu Herzen. Wird Zeit, wieder ein bisschen mehr PMA an den Tag zu legen. und auch seine Freunde mal wieder ein bisschen wach zu rütteln und fester zu halten. Ich bin Günni von Away From Life. Oh, das war falsch rum. That's Bryan from That's Before Dishonor. Ich bin Günni von Away From Life. Entschuldigung. Wir hören und sehen uns beim nächsten Video. Mal gucken, wer es dann wird. Adieu, Leute. Ciao.
Have a good one. Thanks.